In medieval Japan, a noble lady fell sick. Her husband consulted various physicians, but her health continued to deteriorate. With all scientific aspects exhausted, they called upon a priestess. The priestess went beside the noble lady and demanded all entities present to reveal themselves. A broken carriage materialized, and a demon possessing the noble lady appeared. So begins one of Japan's most popular and oldest stories. And this is Legends from the Pacific. Aloha, and thank you for joining us. This is your podcast about Asian and Pacific Islander folklore and cultural history, Legends from the Pacific. Welcome to episode 163, Japan's Exorcism and Demon Mask. This is also your Halloween special edition for 2024, since our last episodes were the Hawaiian epics of Pa'aka'a. I am Kamuela Kaneshiro, a native Hawaiian professional writer, speaker, and Comic-Con panelist with extensive film and television experience. I study mythology, I've encountered unusual things, and I'm a geek.
In the beginning, there was the Pacific Ocean. A canoe broke the horizon, piloted by Pele, a beautiful Polynesian maiden who dominated the waves until she felt safe to stop.
The audiobook of our Legends from the Pacific Book 1 is now available, narrated by multi-award-winning voice actress Emily Wu Zeller. Just click the link in our show notes and purchase our audiobook and enjoy Emily telling our stories today. Mahalo nui loa to our newest Patreon members, the Ki'aha Ohana. Thank you very much for joining our Ohana. As a side note, I'd just like to say thank you very much for your very touching and heartfelt message, and you are very right. It's difficult to know how impactful our show can be to our listeners, which is why messages and emails like yours mean so much to me. Because for the most part, it's just myself speaking into a microphone and sending it out to the void, hoping good things to you, our listeners. I'm glad our show was there for you, but I wasn't alone, since our awesome listeners played a role, no matter how small, in helping your family connect with our show and our Ohana. Which is why it is so important you, our dear listener, do what you can to help spread awareness of our show, since you never know who it may impact. Right, well, moving on. Mahalo nui loa to our Legends from the Pacific Patreon members for their continued support. The Ki'aha Ohana. Burdell, B. Money, Kavai, Perry, Chris, Abram, Xander, Jaden, Thistle, Charlene, Will and Ollie Geis, Christopher, Meg, Jessica Bullock, Edward Pue'ohenki, Felisa H., and the Makuli Guy for supporting our mission of spreading Asian and Pacific Islander cultural awareness. Dear listener, please consider supporting our mission of spreading Asian and Pacific Islander folklore and cultural history by becoming a Legends from the Pacific Patreon member today. As usual, I apologize for any mispronounced names or words and appreciate your understanding. Demon, the priestess said, "Why are you here?" The demon moaned. "This wretched woman destroyed my carriage during the festival. I survived, but such an embarrassment and disrespect should not be tolerated. All I wanted was to see my beloved Genji again." "Genji?" The priestess tilted her head. "You mean this lady's husband?" The demon nodded. "We were lovers before this cow. Our love was beautiful, but now it's a memory, and she is with my beloved. However, if I kill her..." The demon squeezed, and the noble lady's body convulsed. The room of retainers gasped. The priestess went to Genji. "This is beyond my abilities." Genji's eyes narrowed. "Nothing can stop my ex-lover's ghost?" "She is not a ghost," the priestess said. "Your ex-lover is alive. The demon is a manifestation of her hatred. Your ex-lover may not even be aware of what's going on. We must seek the assistance of the Buddhist priest of the mountains." Genji nodded, wrote a formal invitation and sent it with his best retainer to the priest. The tranquil scene was disrupted by the retainer. The Buddhist priest sighed. "Why do you bother me? All I wish is to seek enlightenment." The retainer apologized, delivered his invitation, and urged him to help. The priest read the invitation. "This is indeed serious. Lead the way to your master." Genji welcomed the priest and showed him to his sick wife's room. The monk readied himself, called forth the 5 great deities, then chanted. The demon screamed, "How horrible the voice of the mantra is," and departed, vowing never to return. Some of you may have recognized our featured story, which was based off of a section of The Tale of Genji. The Tale of Genji was published over 1,000 years ago, which makes it the world's oldest novel. I shared this story with you because it uses the most popular horned demon mask, known as the Hannya mask, in the respective No play. That is, No spelled N-O-H, which translates to talent or skill. In the No play, the performer wears the Hannya mask to portray the demon possessing the noble lady. The noble lady is represented by a short-sleeved robe laying flat on center stage. This abstractness of inviting the audience to imagine things is a feature which distinguishes No theater from kabuki. Other aspects is that No is less flashy than kabuki. No was enjoyed by nobles and samurai to the extent that it was considered part of the samurai's code of etiquette. No is also considerably older than kabuki. No was introduced by China around the 8th century and popularized around the 14th century, making it Japan's oldest performing arts still practiced. An interesting theory of how No began was when people wanted to take their worshipped deities outside. Masks were created to represent their gods since they were more portable than statues. This resonates with Japan's No performers who believe spirits inhabit the masks, so they need to treat it with respect. This respect is shown not only to a No troupe's original masks, but their reproductions. You see, a troupe will have original No masks, but make many replicas, which they will use in their performances. While many masks are used in No, one of the oldest is the demon mask or Hannya mask, which may surprise many that it's actually supposed to portray a woman who's been tortured by jealousy. That's right, the demon mask represents a jealous woman. As a side note, women were not allowed to perform No theater until recently, which is a step from kabuki, where women are still not allowed to perform. Scholars believe the Hannya mask was first seen around the 14th century and is modified from its original, which had more snake or dragon-like features. But its true origins, the first play it was used in, and even how it got its name is unknown. The word Hannya comes from Sanskrit, which roughly translates to wisdom, so that offers little assistance to its origin. One theory claimed the mask is named after the monk who perfected the mask's design, while an interesting bit of research suggested the demon in our featured story stated, "What a horrible voice reciting the Heart Sutra as it was being exorcised." Hannya is mentioned in this passage, which some suggest implies this was the first play to use the mask. However, some feel there's another play which used the Hannya mask, but that's a story for another time. So, during my vast research, I found some extra things that I'd like to share with you about No theater. First off, the masks are super creepy. So much so, performers admit to still getting creeped out by them. While the Hannya mask is one of No's more recognizable masks, the young woman mask is actually the most popular. The young woman mask is also considered one of No theater's most creepiest masks, possibly because it portrays a neutral expression, which used to be the socially accepted definition of beauty. Most No masks are also designed to portray aspects depending on how it is displayed to the audience. The mask's right side was considered darker, while the left was brighter and hopeful. This made sense since performers entered on the left and walked a gangway to the right towards the stage, all the while showing the mask's right profile, indicating something was wrong or the actor was troubled. At the end of the play, the performers would leave from right to left, showing the being obtaining a hopeful, brighter status. The masks and lighting also enhanced the character's performance. When the character looked up, the masks tend to be hopeful, while when they looked down, shadows made the masks seem sorrowful. Today, no masks can be seen in various media like Spirited Away. The Hannya mask remains one of the more fearsome masks around. While a variation of it was engraved on Bill's sword in the Kill Bill films, a truer-to-form version was featured in the Japanese classic film Onibaba. The young woman mask was also used to great efficiency in the most recent James Bond movie No Time to Die, which I felt played on the no masks, no wordplay, and even the James Bond character of Dr. No in several unique aspects. But that's me talking about film, which should be discussed as a story for another time. No theater still entertains people, and the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, or UNESCO, recognized No and Kabuki in the list of intangible cultural heritages. It should be noted, modern stories have been adapted to No theater. These performances include a version of America's Civil War, one about Elvis Presley called Blue Moon over Memphis, and another about Oppenheimer, which I felt was really interesting since he created the atomic bomb, which ended World War II. As always, I thank you for taking the time to listen to our show and doing what you can to share our show with friends and loved ones and support our mission of spreading Asian and Pacific Islander cultural awareness. A big mahalo nui loa to our Apple Podcast listeners for their awesome reviews of our show. Mahalo nui loa to Chalkweezer1, Gold ST, 3-year-long user, iKelly84, One Eye Deer, and Lady Mage 1993. Thank you all so very much for taking the time to rate and review our show. I greatly appreciate it. Dear listener, if you enjoyed this episode, please share it with friends and loved ones, and consider taking the time to give us a 5-star rating and review. Our theme song is Mystery by Tavana, courtesy of High Sessions. Sound effects are by Sound Effects Factory. Our music coordinator is Matt Duffy, aka DJ TripleBypass. Links and show notes can be found on our website, LegendsFromThePacific.com, including a link to your featured song, which is Stand By Lovejack, courtesy of High Sessions. Legends from the Pacific was written, produced, and edited by me, Kamuela Kaneshiro. I also wrote our original stories. Your featured Hawaiian word is makaki'i. Makaki'i means mask. An example of makaki'i is Jim Carrey played Stanley Itkiss, a human who became a cartoonish, green-headed, superpowered being in the film Makaki'i. Once again, makaki'i is Hawaiian for mask. Thank you very much for listening and doing what you can to support our mission of spreading Asian and Pacific Islander folklore and cultural awareness. Mahalo and a hui ho.
Love someone like you. To love someone like you.